Hey Tool Tubers, Rob's Wrenches back at you again. This is a video response to Beer Stud's 100 sub giveaway. In this video, I will go over 5 tools or 5 items that are my favorites, to make happen what needs to happen, when dealing with making repairs or fixing cars, anything like that. It doesn't just apply to the automotive field. This goes across the board. In many aspects. Now, first and foremost, while my phone goes to sleep, number one is information. What I had on that screen was the county library's automotive section. They also have plumbing, electrical, anything like that, for a do-it-yourselfer. Information is key. And if you don't have that information readily available, or if you don't know, firsthand, your first obligation is to do research. Find out what it is that you need to accomplish, and the knowledge is already there. Even YouTube, there's tons of videos. I tell my sons that aren't mechanically inclined, before you call me, at least Google or go on to YouTube and try to find a clue as to what it is that you're calling me about. You got this symptom. I'm pretty sure somebody else has had that same issue with whatever car and has made a video about it, and it's floating around on the internet somewhere. So self-help is the first place to start. That is key. Knowledge is key. That's first and foremost. And if you don't have it, you know where to obtain it, either in a manual, at the library, or somewhere on the internet. There are forums that will help get you started. My second favorite tool or classification, I should call it, are the innovation of the cordless tools. Before I was able to afford Milwaukee tools, I was buying pneumatic tools. I started out with, the cordless tools and stuff like that, from Harbor Freight or Tool Shop brand from Menards, that were affordable to me. And then once I bought a compressor, then I bought pneumatic tools. But by the time I'd gotten the compressor and the pneumatic tools, the cordless was just kicking off, man. That was just the way to go, So it had come into its own and was, just making, investing in pneumatic stuff without having a shop. Or my compressor, I've got the 21-gallon from Harbor Freight, the central pneumatic, and the capacity just wasn't enough to keep up with the demand of the pneumatic tools that I had. But along came the cordless tools, and they've just taken off. So number one is enlightenment. Number two is the cordless tools, but I'd like to also include those lights, enlightenment and lighting. I'm getting up there in that age where I can't read fine print anymore. I can't see as well as I used to anymore, or anything like that. Still have 20/20 vision, in broad daylight or anything like that. But yeah, fine print, no, it's not happening. Seeing in the dark, no, it's not happening. So enlightenment and lighting, and the cordless technology. Next is the chemical game. These help you do the things that you need to do, from cleaners to rain block, or some treatment of your windshields, especially in the wintertime. Here in Wisconsin, I put that on my headlights, my windshield, my side windows, my rear window, man, works wonders. Goo Gone, just various chemicals, brake cleaner, lubricants, silicone, you name it, your chemical game. Living in the Rust Belt, man, they are a must, as anybody that lives here knows. Let's see, a favorite hand tool. All right, I have a series of sockets sitting right there. They're all 10 millimeter, each one of them. And this one is a Pittsburgh. It's your average, 10 millimeter deep well. This one is 10 millimeter. These are from my dual socket set, Gray Pneumatic dual sockets, and I really love this set. These things are outstanding. But what really bails my ass out when working on transverse engines, trying to get at a water pump or an idler or, something like that, where there's just no doggone room, these are Bostage splined sockets. These are 3/8 drive. I bought these in, I think, like a 49-piece set from Menards. At the same time that I bought that tool shop half-inch impact, bought it on a whim. It was an impulse buy. It was on the way to the junkyard. Went to go pick up that impact and crossed by these, and they were on sale. And the length of them is what bails me out, because they act as a mid-length. Looking at the variance in heights of each of the sockets, those get me into some tight spaces, and they build me out, on several cars, where I just couldn't get, a regular deep well socket into. Sometimes even with, using a pry bar on the engine, trying to, make room, still wouldn't have the clearance with a regular deep well socket and a ratchet. I do have some low profiles, but before I have the low profile sockets, I had those Bostage, and those save the day a lot of times. And last but not least is protection, safety, coveralls. A lot of the stuff that I work on, is before 2003, and it's rusty, it's grimy, it's oily, it's nasty. I've ruined a lot of clothes, underneath cars or in engine bays and stuff like that. And I've got plenty of sets of coveralls. Hands, protect your mitts. I cut up my knuckles, man. Took a valve cover off or a head off, and the sharp edges, man, are nothing, man. They're just like knives, man. So when you're swinging a freaking ratchet and you throw some force into it and make contact with one of those edges, man, it is just like a razor knife, So I've cut my knuckles open time and time again and whatnot, and that gets old real fast. So, chemicals, I've gotten to the point. I remember as a young man being a generator mechanic in the Army, and I worked on gas engine generators. And if a fuel pump went out, to prime the pump, I would siphon the sucker, by mouth, and get a mouthful of gas, It's something I would never do today. I didn't have a sense of mortality at that point, young and vigorous and full of vitality, and I don't give a damn, and I got to get this thing going, blah blah blah. But it's looking back now, if I was with myself back then, I would have slapped myself upside the head. What the fuck are you doing? Don't do that, man. Go find a vacuum pump or something, some other means. But we often, Remember the Miller ads, the guy with the greasy fingers, he's in the garage working on his car and whatnot, He's got freaking wheel bearing grease on his fingers, but he picks up a powdered donut. We got to shake that. We're poisoning ourselves, we're killing ourselves. We got all kinds of cancers and shit like that, and we're wondering, why is cancer so prevalent? Well, it's all the chemicals and everything that we come in contact with. Could be a source of that type of thing. And our attitudes. Man, I'm not reading no fucking directions. I'll figure it out. Gloves, schmoves. I'm a manly man. I'm gonna reach in here. Grab this oily shit and wash these parts off in the solvent tank and shit. With my bare hands. But as you get older and develop that sense of mortality, you realize and shit, man, I probably should have done a lot of that stuff. So I have coveralls, I have padded impact gloves, rubber gloves, and these nitro lined gloves. I guess I really like these a lot, for things that I do. Maintain a lot of dexterity and whatnot, and they're tougher than regular rubber gloves. Eye Pro. I don't know how many times I've gotten rust in my eye, from an undercarriage, reaching under and trying to do something, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And hearing protection. Junkie. Man, every time I see you dick around with a fucking pneumatic impact gun and shit, man. Rah, rah, no hearing protection. I'm like, man, he's going to regret that shit, man, in 10 years. When Enzo grows up and he can't hear a word he's saying. Man. Wear some hearing protection, bro. Wear some hearing protection. All right, so those are my these are my items. These are things that I, deem really important. My favorite things that immediately come to mind. When I'm making repairs or I'm doing work or anything like that, And then after the day is done, and I'm beat, I'll go pop a couple of cold sedatives, go wash my ass, and rack out. All right, Beer Stud, thanks for the giveaway. Wish me luck. I got my fingers and my toes crossed, and so does Shiloh over there. She's laying down with her legs crossed. So we're hoping for the win. All right, that is my response. This is Rob's Wrenches. Out.